through metropolitan trauma centers or suite at 1:15 p.m., sending staff scrambling to contain a burst line of cleaning solution. Dr. Dante Whitney, chief of emergency anesthesiology, maintained his characteristic calm as he directed the evacuation. Even with caustic fumes filling the air, his movements remained precise and controlled while stabilizing his patient for transfer. "That's the third maintenance issue this month," Dr. Sarachin, his lead resident, muttered as they wheeled the patient to recovery. "At least nobody was hurt." Silver linings. Dante's dry response earned a tired laugh from his team. They'd been 12 hours into what should have been an 18-hour shift. Now, with the or closed for decontamination, they faced an unexpected afternoon off. "Go home, get some rest," he told his staff, already mentally calculating how to reschedule the day's remaining surgeries. "I'll handle the incident reports." The drive home felt strange in daylight. Dante usually arrived well after sunset, when the carefully manicured lawns of their gated community cast long shadows. Today, everything looked different, sharper, clearer. The 5-bedroom colonial he'd bought when Lily was born sat quiet and still, his wife's Mercedes conspicuously absent from the circular driveway. Probably at tennis lessons, he thought, checking his watch. Karen had been taking private coaching sessions 3 times a week for the past year, citing a sudden passion for improving her serve. The lessons weren't cheap, but Dante had never begrudged his family's expenses. His grueling schedule at the hospital meant missing birthdays, anniversaries, school events. The least he could do was ensure they enjoyed the lifestyle his sacrifice provided. He pulled into the garage beside Lily's new BMW, a sweet 16 present he'd barely been awake to give her. The house was silent as he entered through the mudroom, but voices drifted from the direction of the pool house. His 17-year-old daughter was supposed to be at school, but seniors often had half-days. He moved to greet her, then paused at the sliding glass door as he recognized her friend Desiree's voice. "Bro, your mom's really brave, having her lover over while your dad's at work." Desiree's tone held equal parts admiration and mockery. The words hit Dante like a physical blow, but years of medical training kept his hand steady on the door handle. Inside the climate-controlled pool house, he could see Lily lounging on one of the expensive chaises he'd bought last summer, her friend sprawled beside her scrolling through a phone. Lily's laugh sent ice through his veins, not the warm giggle he remembered from her childhood, but something cold and cutting. "My loser dad works double shifts to give us a good life, while mom spends wild nights with her lover. He's so pathetic. Did you see him actually cooking breakfast for us this morning? Mom says he's too stupid to notice the credit card bills, or why she needs so many spa weekends with her tennis coach." Each word carved deeper, but Dante's expression remained neutral. The same control that let him handle 12-hour surgeries now kept him motionless, observing. Desiree giggled, a sound like breaking glass. "And he actually believed that story about the college tour last weekend? When you were all at that beach house with Jason? Mom covered for me." Pride colored Lily's voice. "She says Dad's such a workaholic. He deserves to pay for our fun. Next week, she's taking me to Paris," charged it to his emergency medical account. Called it a conference fee. Dante's fingers moved to his phone without conscious thought, activating the recording function. The same hands that could thread microscopic sutures now documented his family's betrayal with clinical precision. Through the glass, he watched his daughter, the child he'd cradled through midnight fevers, taught to ride a bike, helped with science projects, laugh about deceiving him. "Your mom's tennis coach is hot, though," Desiree continued, showing Lily something on her phone. "Those private lessons must be intense. Jay's teaching her way more than tennis." Lily's smirk matched her mother's. "Dad's so focused on saving other people's lives, he doesn't even notice mom's living hers. Jason says guys like that deserve what they get." "Totally," Desiree agreed. "All work and no play makes Dad an easy mark." The conversation continued, each casual revelation another surgical cut. Dante recorded it all, his medical training allowing him to compartmentalize the pain while gathering evidence. When the girls finally headed inside for snacks, he slipped away unseen, his car backing out of the driveway with the same quiet precision he brought to everything. He didn't go far, just to the small park at the end of their street where he used to push Lily on the swings. Sitting in his car, he replayed the recording, his analytical mind already categorizing the information. financial fraud, identity theft, prescription forgery. The betrayal ran deeper than simple infidelity. His phone buzzed with a text from Karen. "Working late again tonight? Don't wait up. Red heart." Dante's response was measured, maintaining the facade. "Of course. Take care of yourself." He saved the message, another piece of evidence, then made 3 calls. To his bank's fraud department, to a recommended private investigator, and to the hospital's legal counsel. By the time he pulled back into his driveway that evening, the machinery of justice was already in motion. Karen and Lily barely glanced up from their phones when he entered, their practiced disinterest now revealing volumes. He kissed his wife's cheek, tasted unfamiliar cologne, and said nothing. "Rough day, honey?" Karen's concern would have seemed genuine 3 hours ago. "Chemical spill at the hospital. Nothing serious." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "I'm going to catch up on some paperwork." In his home office, surrounded by medical journals and family photos that now felt like props in an elaborate deception, Dante Whitney began planning. The same methodical focus that made him an exceptional surgeon would now serve a different purpose. The betrayal was a tumor, and he would excise it with surgical precision. Boyd Gillespie's office bore little resemblance to the sleek, private investigation firms shown in movies. Instead of downtown high-rises, it occupied the second floor of a converted Victorian house, where heavy curtains and sound-dampening panels ensured discretion. The investigator himself matched his surroundings, practical, unassuming, and far more observant than his rumpled appearance suggested. "The credit card statements tell quite a story, Dr. Whitney." Boyd spread documents across his desk, each one highlighted and annotated. "Your wife has developed quite sophisticated spending patterns over the past 18 months. Dante leaned forward, examining the evidence with the same intensity he brought to reviewing patient charts. "Show me." "Here's the clever part." Boyd pointed to a series of transactions. "She books hotels under your name while you're working nights, then has the receipts sent to your email. The timestamps match your hospital shifts perfectly. She's clearly studied your schedule. But look at the room service charges." The investigator pulled up security footage on his laptop. The grainy video showed Karen entering a luxury hotel's elevator with a tall, athletic man who definitely wasn't Dante. The timestamp matched a night when he'd been performing emergency surgery on a car crash victim. "That's Jay Manning, the tennis coach?" Dante's voice remained steady. Boyd nodded. "Former name Jason Myers. Before that, James Morrison. He's got quite a history: investment fraud in Florida, real estate scams in California. Changed his identity each time charges were filed. The tennis pro certification is probably fake too. And my wife knows this? Better than that, she's helping him." Boyd pulled out more papers. "They've been systematically moving money offshore. Small amounts at first, then larger transfers once the patterns were established. Your emergency medical account isn't just funding Paris trips, it's building their nest egg in the Cayman Islands." The revelation didn't surprise Dante as much as it should have. He'd already seen the foundation cracks in his marriage. Now he was just measuring their depth. "The prescriptions?" Boyd's expression darkened. "That's where it gets serious." He opened another folder, this one filled with pharmacy records and security camera stills. "Someone's been using your medical credentials to acquire controlled substances. Oxycodone mostly, some fentanyl patches. The prescriptions look legitimate, proper DEA numbers, all the right stamps. But they're being filled at pharmacies far from your usual practice area." The implications hit hard. Prescription fraud could cost Dante his medical license, destroy the career he'd spent decades building. How are they getting the prescription pads? "Your daughter's been quite helpful there." Boyd spread out a series of photos showing Lily entering restricted areas of the hospital using what appeared to be Dante's ID badge. She's been running errands for them, delivering packages to certain addresses. "We tracked 3 drops last week alone. This goes beyond teenage rebellion, Dr. Whitney. She's knowingly participating in criminal activity." Dante studied the images, his expression hardening. The surgical calm that had carried him through the initial discovery was evolving into something colder, more focused. "What else?" "Your daughter's friends aren't as discreet as she thinks." Boyd pulled up social media posts showing Lily and her mother at locations that contradicted their claimed whereabouts. "That college tour weekend?" They were at a beach house registered to one of Manning's aliases. Your wife used your credit card to pay for everything while you worked a 36-hour trauma shift. The evidence mounted: forged signatures on school documents, manipulated bank statements, carefully constructed alibis. Each revelation showed how thoroughly they'd exploited his long hours and trust in his family. There's more. Boyd hesitated, then continued. Manning's been introducing your wife as Mrs. Manning in certain circles. They've been looking at properties together, setting up joint accounts under various names. Your daughter refers to him as her real dad in text messages to friends. Dante absorbed this with the same outward calm he showed when receiving devastating lab results for a patient. How long have you been watching them? 3 weeks since you hired me. But their operation's been running much longer. Boyd pulled out one final document. Your wife's been planning this for years. Building credit lines, establishing spending patterns, creating a paper trail that makes everything look normal. She even has a separate phone you don't know about, burner phones too, for certain transactions. A knock at the door interrupted them. Boyd's assistant entered with another file. The hospital security footage you requested, Dr. Whitney, and the DNA test results came back. Dante opened the envelope, read the contents, then carefully refolded the paper. His hands, steady enough to perform microscopic nerve blocks, didn't betray the impact of what he'd just learned. How many more prescription pads are missing from my office? At least 30. Boyd shuffled through more photos. Your daughter's fingerprints are on some of them. She's not just delivering packages, she's actively participating in the forgery operation. Manning's teaching her the business, so to speak. The implications were clear. This wasn't just about his wife's infidelity or his daughter's rebellion. They'd built an entire criminal enterprise around exploiting his reputation and resources. I need everything documented, Dante said finally. Every transaction, every forged prescription, every security camera shot. Build the case like you're presenting it to a grand jury. Boyd nodded, understanding the shift in his client's demeanor. What about confronting them? Not yet. Dante stood, gathering the evidence into his briefcase. A surgeon doesn't remove a tumor without first understanding its full extent. Keep watching. I want to know every account, every alias, every contact they have. As he left Boyd's office, his phone buzzed with a text from Karen. Parent-teacher conference ran late. Having dinner with the other moms to discuss graduation planning. Don't wait up. The lie was so casual, so practiced. Through Boyd's surveillance photos, Dante knew exactly where his wife was, and it wasn't at any school function. He texted back, "No problem. Take your time. Love you." The response came quickly, "Love you too. You're the best. Red heart." Dante allowed himself a small, cold smile. Let them think he remained ignorant, workaholic Dr. Whitney, too busy saving lives to notice his own family's betrayal. Every lie they told now was just another piece of evidence, another surgical tool being prepared for the operation to come. He had one more stop to make. The hospital's financial forensics department wanted to show him something about patterns in his accounts. The web of lies was vast, but he would trace every strand, understand every connection. Then, with the precision that made him one of the city's top surgeons, he would begin cutting. The hospital's financial forensics lab hummed with the quiet efficiency of modern technology. Tonia Alvarez, head of the department, had the sharp eyes and methodical nature of someone who found stories in spreadsheets that others missed. Today, those stories were making Dante's pristine medical career look like a crime scene. The identity theft goes deeper than we initially thought, Tonia explained, pulling up multiple screens of data. Your wife didn't just use your existing credit lines, she's opened new ones across 3 states. Look at these signature patterns. The monitor displayed various documents side by side. Loan applications, credit card requests, property leases. Each bore Dante's signature, or what appeared to be his signature. She's been practicing your handwriting for years, Tonia continued, highlighting subtle variations. The early forgeries from 2 years ago show slight inconsistencies. But these recent ones? I had to run digital analysis to prove they weren't genuine. Dante studied the signatures, remembering how Karen used to joke about doing his paperwork when he was too tired after shifts. How much exposure are we looking at? Conservative estimate? Over $2 million in credit lines. Tonia pulled up another spreadsheet. She's been strategic keeping payments current, maintaining excellent credit scores. The banks had no reason to flag anything. But look at the purchase patterns. The data told its own story. High-end restaurants in cities Dante had supposedly visited during conferences, jewelry stores charging items to his business account as office supplies, regular cash withdrawals timed perfectly to his hospital shifts. She built the perfect cover, Tonia explained. Every suspicious transaction has a plausible explanation. Weekend conferences that match real medical events. Business dinners with timestamps matching your on-call schedule. She even forged your signature on hospital documents, making it harder to prove the recent forgeries are fake. A knock at the door interrupted them. Dr. Esteban Abbott, head of the hospital's genetics department, entered with a tablet in hand. His expression suggested news that couldn't wait. "You asked me to review Lily's medical records," Esteban began, glancing at Tonia. "May we speak privately?" "Anything you find, they both need to know," Dante replied. "It's all evidence now." Esteban nodded grimly. "I was checking the genetic markers from her last physical standard procedure for updating employee dependence insurance. The patterns caught my attention." He pulled up a complex diagram of DNA sequences. "These markers, Dante, Lily can't be your biological daughter." The revelation landed like a final diagnosis, confirming a suspicion Dante hadn't allowed himself to fully acknowledge. "How long have you known?" "I just confirmed it this morning." "Given the genetic profile, conception would have been around the time you were doing your fellowship in Boston." Esteban's voice held professional detachment, tinged with genuine concern. "You were working 80-hour weeks, living in hospital housing, while Karen stayed here, claiming morning sickness was too severe for her to travel," Dante finished. The memory twisted now, showing new shapes and familiar shadows. Tonia pulled up more financial records. "That timing matches some interesting payments from your joint account. Regular transfers to a private tennis club, even back then. The same club where Jay Manning started working 16 years ago." The pieces assembled themselves with clinical precision. Manning wasn't just Karen's current lover, he was Lily's biological father. Every parent-teacher conference where Dante had proudly heard about Lily's athletic abilities, every time Karen had insisted on Manning as her daughter's private coach, every family dinner where they'd laughed about how little Lily resembled him, all part of an elaborate deception. "There's more," Tonia added reluctantly. "I found videos while scanning social media for evidence." The screen showed clips from family events. Lily making mocking gestures behind Dante's back while he worked on her college applications, Karen filming herself using his hospital ID to access restricted areas, both of them laughing as they photocopied his driver's license while he slept between shifts. "They've been documenting everything," Tonia explained, "like it's some kind of game to them. There are even TikTok videos Lily made, bragging about how easy it is to forge prescriptions using her stupid dad's medical credentials." The betrayal infected every memory now, turning cherished moments into evidence of manipulation. Family vacations funded by fraudulent credit lines. College savings accounts drained for shopping sprees with Manning. Even Lily's recent interest in medicine, supposedly inspired by Dante's career, now revealed itself as a way to access hospital-restricted areas. "I need everything preserved," Dante said finally. "Every video, every forged document, every financial record. Build a timeline starting from before Lily's birth." "What are you planning to do?" Esteban asked quietly. Dante's expression remained professionally neutral, but his eyes had taken on the focused intensity his surgical residents recognized from complicated procedures. A surgeon removes diseased tissue to save the patient. Sometimes that means cutting away what you thought was healthy to get to the root of the infection. His phone buzzed another text from Karen. "Picking up Lily from study group, then we have that college counselor meeting. Don't worry about dinner." The study group was fiction. Boyd's surveillance photos showed Lily was actually meeting Manning to deliver more forged prescriptions. The college counselor meeting was cover for another rendezvous at the beach house. "I have surgery scheduled for the next 3 days," Dante told Tonia and Esteban. "Make it look like I'm completely focused on work. Let them think their pattern is holding." "And then?" Tonia asked. "And then we start the procedure." Dante gathered the evidence files with the same care he showed preparing surgical instruments. Every surgery requires proper preparation, understanding the pathology, identifying affected areas, planning precise incisions. This isn't just about divorce, Esteban noted. The prescription fraud alone could bring criminal charges. 17 years of lies, Dante replied quietly. Identity theft, drug trafficking, insurance fraud. They built their entire lives around exploiting my absence while I saved other people's lives. Now it's time to excise the cancer. His phone buzzed again. Lily this time. Dad, can you approve my spring break trip? Mom says it's fine, just need your signature for the school form. The form, Dante knew from Boyd's investigation, was for a fake school trip. The real destination was Manning's timeshare in Cancun, where they planned to meet some of his business associates. Of course, sweetie, he texted back. Leave it on my desk. Every lie they told now was another piece of evidence. Every casual betrayal, another surgical tool being prepared. Let them think he remained blind, focused on his patients while they dismantled his life piece by piece. The surgery to come would require steady hands and a precise touch. Fortunately, Dr. Dante Whitney had never lost a patient due to hesitation. Send everything to my secure email, he instructed Tonia and Esteban. It's time to prepare for the operation. They understood he wasn't talking about anything in an operating room. The procedure he was planning would cut far deeper than any scalpel. And unlike his usual surgeries, this one wasn't meant to heal. Hospital counsel Misty McNeil's office provided a stark contrast to the chaos of the emergency department below. Behind soundproof walls, she reviewed the evidence Dante had gathered, her expression growing grimmer with each document. The prescription fraud alone is enough for federal charges, she noted, organizing files with practiced efficiency. But we need to move carefully. One wrong step could compromise the whole case. I'm not looking for a messy public scandal, Dante replied, his surgical calm never wavering. I want precision. Misty nodded, understanding. She'd worked with enough doctors to recognize the shift from healer to hunter in Dante's eyes. We'll need to document everything while maintaining your normal routine. Any change in behavior could alert them. I can pull extra shifts, Dante offered. Make my absences even more predictable. Perfect. Misty began outlining their strategy. Every betrayal becomes ammunition. We'll need timestamps, surveillance footage, bank records, everything that shows the systematic nature of their operation. Over the next few weeks, Dante orchestrated his own disappearance from his family's lives, making himself more predictably absent than ever. Each 24-hour shift provided cover for meetings with lawyers, investigators, and financial advisors. Karen's arrogance made their task easier. Believing herself unobserved, she grew bolder. Security cameras captured her entering Manning's condo, shopping with his credit cards, planning their future on phones she thought were secure. Look at this, Misty said during one of their dawn meetings, displaying photographs of Karen at a luxury real estate office. She's shopping for houses in the Caymans. Using your forged signature on the applications, Dante reviewed the documents with clinical detachment. Move everything out of the joint accounts. Gradually, nothing to raise alarms. Already in progress. Misty pulled up transfer records. Offshore accounts are being reversed. Property titles are shifting to your name alone. The prenup gives us solid ground. She signed it thinking she'd never need to challenge it. In his office between surgeries, Dante monitored their progress. Each betrayal became a data point, each lie another piece of evidence. His daughter's social media posts provided timestamps that contradicted her alibis. His wife's lover's criminal history offered leverage points they'd never anticipated. Medical partnerships are being dissolved and reformed under new entities, his financial advisor reported. By the time they notice, all assets will be protected. Karen remained oblivious, her texts growing more elaborate in their deception. Working late on the charity gala planning, honey, don't wait up. Manning's arrogance showed in his casual use of Dante's credit cards, never suspecting each transaction was being logged and categorized. Charged another tennis lesson to the business account. The old fool probably thinks I'm training for Wimbledon. Lily's social media posts radiated contempt for the father funding her lifestyle. Another designer bag from Daddy's hospital bonus. He thinks I'm buying textbooks, lol hashtag blessed hashtag rich kids of Instagram. Each message, each transaction, each mocking post became another weapon in Dante's growing arsenal. But he maintained his facade, responding to Karen's lies with practiced understanding. Of course, dear. Focus on the charity work. I'll be at the hospital anyway. In the operating room, his precision only increased. Colleagues noted his enhanced focus, attributing it to professional dedication rather than strategic preparation. You're even sharper than usual lately, Dr. Chen commented after a particularly difficult surgery. Just maintaining standards, Dante replied, his steady hands betraying nothing of his parallel operation in progress. The medical partnership's dissolution proceeded invisibly. Shell companies reformed under new entities. Property titles shifted through layers of corporate restructuring. His financial team worked with the efficiency of a surgical unit, each move precise and untraceable. They're so focused on stealing your money, they don't notice it disappearing, Misty observed during another dawn meeting. Classic tunnel vision. Con artists get so caught up in their own schemes, they miss the bigger picture. Dante's response was interrupted by another text from Karen. Taking Lily College shopping this weekend. Don't worry about the expenses. The college shopping was cover for another beach house rendezvous. Boyd's surveillance photos showed Manning had already booked the property using one of Dante's fraudulent credit lines. Let them spend, Dante instructed his team. Every transaction is more evidence. Every purchase another nail. His home life continued its practiced rhythm. He cooked breakfast that Karen and Lily barely touched, worked shifts that grew increasingly longer, maintained the facade of ignorance that his wife had counted on for so long. But behind that facade, the machinery of justice ground forward. Every password they'd stolen was logged. Every forged prescription was documented. Every mocking text was preserved and time-stamped. We're almost ready, Misty confirmed 6 weeks into their operation. All the pieces are in place. We just need the final catalyst. That catalyst arrived in the form of a warning from their newest asset, a reformed con artist who recognized the patterns in Karen's recent activities. But before they could act on that information, they needed one more piece of the puzzle to fall into place. Dante maintained his surgical calm, knowing that like any complex procedure, timing was everything. The incision had to be precise, the approach perfectly planned. His phone buzzed with another text from Karen. Missing you. Working late again? He smiled, remembering how she'd laughed about his pathetic dedication in surveillance recordings from the beach house. Always, he replied. Lives to save. Let them think him safely immersed in his medical duties. The operation he was planning would save no lives, but it would excise a cancer that had grown unchecked for far too long. The security consulting firm's office tucked away in a renovated warehouse district seemed an unlikely place for a meeting between a surgeon and a reformed con artist. Curtis Mann, whose own path from fraud to legitimacy made him uniquely qualified to spot similar schemes, studied the surveillance footage with professional appreciation. Your wife's getting sloppy, he noted, freeze-framing security camera footage of Lily slipping into the hospital's restricted pharmacy area. Look at this broad daylight, barely trying to hide. They think they're untouchable. Timestamp matches perfectly with my surgery schedule, Dante observed, checking his notes. 6 weeks of documented evidence. That's not the concerning part. Curtis pulled up another screen showing email exchanges. Your wife's been talking to divorce attorneys, specifically ones known for fabricating abuse claims. Thompson, Reeves, and Associates. They specialize in destroying medical professionals' careers. Dante's expression hardened. Timeline. Based on the email patterns, they're planning to file within the month. Classic setup. She'll claim your long hours were covering substance abuse, that you've been stealing drugs from the hospital. Curtis scrolled through more documents. They're gathering witnesses, mostly friends from the tennis club, who'll swear they saw you acting erratically. Can you get their full strategy? Already did. Curtis grinned, a reminder of his less legitimate past. Hacked her burner phone this morning. She's planning to claim your addiction made you violent, that she's been covering for you to protect your career. The prescription fraud? They'll pin it all on you. The revelation should have angered him, but Dante felt only cold clarity. Show me everything. The evidence mounted on multiple screens. Security cameras had caught Lily stealing prescription pads with practiced ease. Bank records detailed Karen's transfers to Caribbean accounts, each one timestamp matched to Dante's hospital shifts. Social media documented their lavish, spending designer clothes, luxury hotels, private jets. Look at this, Curtis pointed to a chat log. They're already planning how to spend your money after the divorce. Manning's promising to take them to Monaco once the settlement comes through. A knock interrupted them. FBI agent Linda Thomas entered, carrying files that would shift their operation into its final phase. The prescription drug ring is bigger than we thought, she reported, spreading photos across Curtis's desk. Your wife and Manning aren't just stealing pads, they're running a distribution network through the tennis club. We've documented deliveries to 3 states. Dante reviewed the surveillance photos. Every image showed the same pattern. Lily entering the hospital during his surgeries, Manning's tennis students leaving lessons with more than sports equipment, Karen coordinating it all through phones she thought were secure. They're planning something big for next week, Curtis added, pulling up more intercepted messages. Large delivery, high-end clients. Manning's bringing in people from his old operation in Florida. That's our window, Agent Thomas decided. We'll need you to maintain your normal schedule, Dr. Whitney. Make them think you're safely occupied in surgery. Dante checked his phone. Another text from Karen. Big charity event at the club next Friday. Don't worry about attending. I know you'll be working. The charity event was cover for their largest drug delivery yet. Manning had invited wealthy clients from across the country, using the tennis club's legitimate reputation as cover. Everything's in place, Curtis confirmed. Bank records, surveillance footage, witness statements. The moment they make the exchange, we can move. What about the divorce lawyers? Dante asked. Already handled, Agent Thomas smiled grimly. We've documented every meeting where they plan to file false abuse claims. The law firm's partners are very interested in avoiding federal conspiracy charges. The plan crystallized with surgical precision. Every detail checked, every contingency covered. Like preparing for a complex operation, Dante reviewed each step methodically. Your daughter's getting careless too, Curtis noted, showing more security footage. Posted this an hour ago. The social media story showed Lily in the hospital parking garage, making mocking faces while holding stolen prescription pads, making another delivery for Mom's tennis lesson clients. Dad's too busy saving lives to notice. Hashtag easy money. She's 17, Agent Thomas reminded them. Still a minor. We can offer her a deal if she cooperates. No deals, Dante's voice was firm. She made her choices. Let her face adult consequences. Curtis nodded approvingly. They're planning to destroy your life. Seems fair they lose theirs instead. The final pieces fell into place. Bank records showed Karen emptying shopping accounts she thought Dante didn't know about. Security cameras caught Manning meeting with his Florida contacts. Social media documented their growing confidence that their plan was proceeding perfectly. 1 week, Agent Thomas confirmed, we'll coordinate with local police and DEA. The moment they make the exchange at the charity event, we move. What about the offshore accounts? Dante asked. Curtis grinned, already reversing the flow. By the time we raid the club, every penny they've stolen will be back under your control. They'll be left with nothing but federal indictments. Another text from Karen lit up Dante's phone. Don't forget to sign these insurance forms for Lily's college applications. Just need your signature. The insurance forms were actually property transfer documents, part of their plan to secure assets before filing the false abuse claims. Each attempt at deception now only added to the evidence against them. Manning's getting nervous, Curtis observed, monitoring their communications. He wants to accelerate the timeline. Let them, Dante replied. The harder they push, the more mistakes they'll make. The trap was set. Like a carefully planned surgery, every instrument was in place, every approach mapped out. They'd taken his trust, abused his absence, mocked his dedication to saving lives. Now they would learn that a surgeon's precision could cut both ways. His phone buzzed again. Lily this time. Thanks for the new car, Dad. Best dad ever. The new car, paid for with stolen prescription money, would look particularly ironic in the FBI seizure photos. The time for healing was past. Now it was time for excision. At 2:47 a.m., the tennis club's security cameras caught Jay Manning making his final mistake. Under cover of darkness, he directed a stream of high-end vehicles into the private parking area, each driver carrying designer tennis bags that had nothing to do with sports. From the FBI command center set up in a nearby office building, Agent Linda Thomas watched the operation unfold through multiple surveillance feeds. All targets are on site. Dr. Whitney, are you sure you want to watch this? A surgeon never leaves during an operation, Dante replied, his voice carrying the same steady calm he brought to the most critical procedures. He'd taken a rare night off, officially logged as catching up on sleep between shifts. The surveillance screens showed a familiar scene. Karen greeting wealthy clients with practiced charm, Lily moving through the crowd with envelopes of prescriptions, Manning orchestrating it all with the confidence of someone who thought he'd never be caught. Your wife just accessed the last account, Curtis Mann reported, monitoring financial transactions in real time. She's trying to transfer everything to their Cayman Islands holdings. Dante allowed himself a small smile. How long until she notices? Any minute now. Curtis grinned. Every transfer is bouncing back. Complete financial lockdown, just like we planned. On screen, they watched Karen's expression shift from confidence to confusion as her phone lit up with bank alerts. She pulled Manning aside, their gestures becoming increasingly agitated as each attempt to access funds failed. All teams in position, Agent Thomas announced into her radio. Execute on my mark. The raid unfolded with surgical precision. FBI teams breached the tennis club from multiple entry points simultaneously. Local police secured the perimeter while DEA agents moved to secure evidence. The darkness erupted with tactical lights and commands for surrender. Manning's reaction proved predictably self-serving. He shoved Karen aside and sprinted for his Porsche, abandoning his co-conspirators without hesitation. He made it 3 blocks before hitting the FBI roadblock, his expensive car crumpling like his carefully constructed scheme. Mrs. Whitney is in custody, an agent reported. The daughter attempted to destroy evidence, but was apprehended with prescription pads in her possession. Dante watched through the command center feeds as his wife was led out in handcuffs, her designer tennis outfit incongruous against the tactical gear of her arresters. Her practiced charm crumbled when she realized the severity of her situation. Dante will clear this up, she insisted to the arresting agents. There's been a mistake. My husband's a respected surgeon. He'll explain everything. Actually, Agent Thomas said, stepping into view, Dr. Whitney has been extremely helpful in documenting your entire operation. Would you like to see the evidence? Karen's facade cracked completely. You can't do this. I'll claim spousal privilege. That only works for legitimate communications, Thomas replied coldly. Conspiracy to distribute controlled substances isn't covered. Neither is identity theft or wire fraud. From another feed, they watched Lily being arrested near the club service entrance, caught trying to dispose of prescription pads and client lists. Her social media confidence vanished as agents read her rights. But I'm only 17, she protested. You can't arrest me. Age didn't stop you from participating in a multi-state drug trafficking operation, an agent responded. The prosecutors will take that into consideration if you cooperate. Curtis's monitors showed the final stages of their financial operation completing. All transfers confirmed. Offshore accounts emptied and redirected. Properties retitled. Credit lines frozen. What about the house? Dante asked. Already done. Sold to your brother this afternoon for $1. Completely legal under your prenup terms. They'll have nowhere to go when they make bail. Agent Thomas raised an eyebrow. If they make bail, the flight risk alone. The operation continued through dawn. Each client arrested. Each vehicle seized. Each tennis bag full of fraudulent prescriptions and cash documented and tagged as evidence. Dante's phone buzzed with desperate messages. From Karen, please baby, this is all a misunderstanding. You have to help us. From Lily, Dad, don't let them do this. I'm your daughter. From Manning's lawyer, Dr. Whitney, my client is willing to offer information in exchange for consideration. He left them all unanswered, watching instead as federal agents cataloged the evidence of their betrayal. Designer clothes bought with stolen money. Forged prescriptions using his medical credentials. Documents outlining their plans to destroy his reputation with false abuse claims. They're processing Manning now, Curtis reported. Found burner phones with messages to his Florida contacts. This is going federal DEA's already talking RICO charges. The morning news crews arrived as planned, capturing footage of respected tennis coach Jay Manning being led away in cuffs, his attempted flight adding charges to an already substantial list. Karen's carefully maintained social media image would be replaced by mugshots. Lily's Instagram influence now extended only to booking photos. Your wife's attorney called, Agent Thomas mentioned. The one who was planning the false abuse claims? They're withdrawing representation, claiming conflict of interest. Hard to maintain a practice when you're under investigation for conspiracy, Curtis added with satisfaction. The sun rose over a changed landscape. The tennis club's perfectly manicured courts now hosted evidence teams instead of society players. The luxury cars in the parking lot wore police seizure notices instead of country club stickers. The offshore accounts built from years of theft held nothing but transaction records documenting their own crimes. Need anything else from us? Agent Thomas asked as the operation wound down. Dante stood, straightening his suit with the same precision he used to arrange surgical instruments. No, the procedure is complete. Time to close. They'll try to contact you, Curtis warned. Beg for help. Claim it was all a misunderstanding. A surgeon knows when tissue is beyond saving, Dante replied. Sometimes the kindest cut is the deepest. He stepped out into the morning light, leaving behind the wreckage of their careful schemes. His phone continued buzzing with desperate messages he would never answer. Ahead lay meetings with hospital administrators, press statements, the careful work of rebuilding his professional reputation. But for now, he simply drove home to a house that was still his, paid for by work they had mocked, secured by a prenup they had ignored. Inside his office, he opened the safe containing evidence of their betrayal. Forged prescriptions, stolen hospital IDs, documented lies. Perfect exhibits for the ethics lectures he would someday give, teaching future doctors that some infections require complete excision. His phone buzzed one final time the hospital scheduling office. Dr. Whitney, surgery at 9 a.m.? I'll be there, he replied. After all, lives still needed saving. Just not the ones that had tried to destroy his. 3 years passed with the steady rhythm of a heart monitor. The prestigious Cedar Valley Medical Center's boardroom buzzed with anticipation as they prepared to introduce their new chief of anesthesiology. Dr. Whitney's transformation of the Metropolitan Trauma Center's emergency protocols has become the industry standard, board chairman Dr. Marcus Chin announced. We're fortunate he's chosen to bring that expertise to Cedar Valley. Dante accepted the position with the same precise grace that had guided his surgical career. His new office overlooked manicured gardens where medical students studied between rounds. The view couldn't have been more different from his old hospital, but that was exactly the point. The department needs complete restructuring, he told his new team during their first meeting. We'll start with updating all security protocols for controlled substances. The irony wasn't lost on anyone familiar with his past. The scandal of the Whitney prescription drug ring had rocked the medical community, becoming a cautionary tale taught in ethics classes. His colleague Dr. Reba Hardy lingered after the meeting, her understanding deeper than most. Your experience with medical fraud gives you unique insight, she noted. My own encounter with prescription theft nearly destroyed my practice in Chicago. Their shared history with betrayal formed the foundation of something neither had expected to find again: trust. Reba's intelligence matched her integrity, her own battle against medical fraud having left her stronger rather than bitter. Meanwhile, across town in a minimum security prison's visiting room, Karen Boone Whitney's designer confidence had crumbled into institutional beige. The prescription drug scheme had earned her 18 months, but the social death sentence was far longer. Mrs. Whitney, her public defender explained across a scratched metal table, Mr. Manning's deal with federal prosecutors includes detailed testimony about your role in everything. The prescription fraud, the identity theft, the offshore accounts. That snake, Karen spat, her practice charm evaporating. After everything I did for him, we had a plan. His testimony also covers your attempts to file false abuse claims against Dr. Whitney, the lawyer continued. The divorce attorneys you contacted are facing their own legal troubles. You're fortunate the judge showed leniency given your lack of prior convictions. Jay Manning's cooperation had been predictably self-serving. From his higher security cell, he detailed every aspect of their operation, painting Karen as the mastermind while minimizing his own role. His testimony ensured she'd never again be welcome in the social circles she'd once dominated. Lily's fall proved equally dramatic. Her trust fund evaporated with her parents' assets, leaving her to navigate community college between retail shifts at the mall. Her social media presence, once full of designer shopping sprees and luxury vacations, now documented a harsh new reality. Another rejection letter, she told her former friend Desiree, now barely acknowledging her between classes. Every decent university does background checks now. One Google search of my name brings up all the news stories. That's rough, Desiree replied without looking up from her phone, their friendship having expired with Lily's credit cards. Maybe try community service or something. Show you've changed? But change proved harder than reputation management. Lily watched from behind the mall's coffee counter as former private school classmates posted graduation photos from prestigious university schools her father would have easily funded before she'd helped destroy his trust. Your shift's not over, her manager snapped as she checked her phone. Those cups won't wash themselves. The same hands that had once casually stolen prescription pads now scrubbed coffee stains from ceramic mugs. Her Instagram followers dropped daily, influencer dreams replaced by customer service realities. Karen's release from prison brought no triumph. Her attempt to access old country club memberships met polite but firm rejection. Former tennis partners crossed streets to avoid her. Real estate agencies that had once competed for her listings now claimed to be fully staffed. We're maintaining certain standards, her former social committee chair explained when Karen tried to attend a charity luncheon. I'm sure you understand. She didn't get to keep the designer wardrobe bought with stolen funds. The federal seizure had been thorough, leaving her with modest outfits more suited to job interviews than charity galas. But even entry-level positions proved elusive once background checks revealed her conviction. Your qualifications are impressive, one interviewer said carefully, but given the financial nature of your recent history, we have concerns about client trust. Dante's own trajectory soared in opposite proportion to their fall. Cedar Valley's anesthesiology department flourished under his leadership. Medical journals published his innovative protocols. His relationship with Reba evolved from professional respect to deeper understanding. You didn't let betrayal make you bitter, she observed over dinner at her condo. You turned it into a tool for positive change. A surgeon knows the difference between removing disease and destroying healthy tissue, he replied, his precision now tempered by hard-earned wisdom. Their wedding 6 months later drew medical luminaries from across the country. Karen learned about it through social media alerts she couldn't stop herself from checking, watching the life she'd thrown away replaced by something genuine. The most bitter pill came from Manning himself. His carefully crafted testimony earned him a reduced sentence but destroyed any loyalty his co-conspirators might have felt. From prison, he sent a detailed confession to the medical board, ensuring Karen's role in the prescription fraud would never be forgotten. Lily's social media posts shifted from mockery to desperation. Her former private school friends blocked her after she repeatedly begged for connections to jobs and opportunities. The same social circle that had once enabled her betrayal now treated her as a cautionary tale. Remember Lily Whitney? They whispered at college events she couldn't attend. Her dad was that surgeon whose wife ran the drug ring. Now she's working at the mall. Karma, right? 3 years had rewritten every narrative. Dante's surgical precision had excised the cancer of betrayal, leaving him stronger. Those who had mocked his dedication now watched from the shadows as he rebuilt something more genuine than their schemes had ever been. The fall was complete, but the reckoning wasn't over. Karma, like a skilled surgeon, wasn't finished operating. Storm clouds gathered over Cedar Valley Medical Center, matching the darkness in Lily's expression as she clutched a stack of university rejection letters. The security desk called up to Dr. Whitney's office, their tone professional but wary they remembered the prescription fraud scandal. Send her up, Dante instructed, his voice carrying the same calm he used before complex surgeries. But have security on standby. The years had changed her. Gone were the designer clothes and arrogant swagger. The young woman who stepped into his office wore mall-brand attire and desperation like ill-fitting armor. Dad, please, Lily began. dropping the rejection letters on his desk. I've changed. I swear it's different now. Dante observed her with clinical detachment, noting the signs of her reduced circumstances. Retail name tag still pinned to her shirt. Knockoff handbag replacing the authentic ones she'd bought with stolen prescriptions. Dark circles under eyes that had once mocked his dedication to saving lives. 3 universities explicitly cited my involvement in the prescription fraud. She continued, voice cracking. 2 more mentioned character concerns. I can't even get into state schools. The community college credits barely transfer anywhere. And you came to me because... His tone remained professionally neutral, the same voice he used discussing difficult cases with residents. I need help with tuition. References. Anything. Tears threatened, but Dante had watched too many surveillance videos of her laughing while stealing his prescription pads to be moved. You're still my father. You raised me. Without a word, Dante opened his desk drawer and removed a thick file. Inside lay DNA test results, crime scene photos of her stealing prescriptions, text messages mocking his parental dedication, bank records showing how she'd helped drain his accounts. No, he corrected, laying out each piece of evidence with surgical precision. J. Manning raised you. Or more accurately, helped you destroy my life while being your biological father. The color drained from Lily's face. What are you talking about? The DNA tests were conclusive. You were conceived while I was doing my fellowship in Boston. His voice remained steady, years of operating under pressure evident in every word. Your mother and Manning's affair predates my career as chief of anesthesiology. Every tennis lesson, every father-daughter tournament, you were spending time with your actual father while helping him steal from the man who raised you. That's impossible, Lily whispered. But her protest lacked conviction. The evidence lay before her in undeniable sequence. The genetic markers don't lie, Dante continued. Unlike you, your mother, and the man who actually fathered you. Go ask him for college money, though his current address is federal prison. So responses might be delayed. DNA doesn't matter. Desperation made her voice sharp. You raised me. That makes you my real father. No. Dante's response carried the finality of a terminal diagnosis. Real fathers are respected, not mocked. Real daughters don't help steal prescription drugs or forge medical documents. You chose your path 3 years ago. Now walk it. I was just a kid. Mom and Jay manipulated me. You were 17, he corrected. Old enough to know that stealing prescription pads was a felony. Old enough to understand that forging medical documents put patients at risk. Old enough to make social media posts laughing about how your pathetic father worked extra shifts while you helped steal from him. Each piece of evidence landed like a precise incision. The timestamps on these videos show you stealing prescriptions between AP chemistry classes. Your honor roll grades prove you were intelligent enough to understand the consequences. The text messages to your friends demonstrate premeditation. Please, she tried again. I'll do anything to make it right. Like you did anything to help destroy my career? His surgical calm never wavered. Your mother at least had the excuse of greed. You helped them out of pure contempt. The daughter I supported through private school, bought cars for, planned a future for, spent years helping dismantle my life for entertainment. Lily's tears fell freely now, but they weren't the manipulative ones she'd used to extract money and privileges in the past. What am I supposed to do? The same thing any adult does after committing federal crimes: face the consequences. He began returning the evidence to its file. Your fingerprints are on dozens of stolen prescription pads. The statute of limitations hasn't expired. Remember that before trying emotional manipulation again. You'd really send me to prison? You sent yourself there the first time you stepped into my hospital with stolen ID cards. The fact that you got caught before serving time was luck, not innocence. He closed the file with finality. The security team will escort you out. Dad, please, I'm sorry. No, he corrected one final time. You're sorry you got caught. Sorry your life of privilege ended. Sorry your biological father turned state's evidence instead of protecting you. But mostly sorry that actions have consequences. The door closed on her tears, sealing off 17 years of practiced deception. Through the office window, Dante watched security escort her across the parking lot, her shoulders bent under the weight of truth finally confronted. His phone buzzed Reba, sending a photo of twin preemies they were considering adopting from the NICU. Genuine love, replacing toxic manipulation. Real family emerging from the ashes of betrayal. The storm broke outside, rain washing away the last traces of Lily's presence. Like the precise cuts of a skilled surgeon, some separations were necessary for healing to begin, even if the patient never thanked the doctor for saving them from themselves. The news of Jay Manning's death arrived via a terse email from the federal prison system. Cause of death: overdose from the same prescription drugs he'd once stolen and sold. Karma, it seemed, had a sense of irony. Manning was found in his cell this morning, Agent Linda Thomas reported during a follow-up call. Apparently, some of his former business associates decided he'd talked too much to prosecutors. Fitting end for a man who built his life selling stolen prescriptions. Dante acknowledged the information with professional detachment, the same way he'd process an expected outcome in a terminal case. Any other updates? Your ex-wife tried appealing her conviction again. Denied. Obviously. She's still claiming she was just following Manning's instructions. The judge wasn't impressed. Karen's attempts at reconciliation had become a predictable pattern. Monthly calls to his office, always when she knew he'd be in surgery. Tearful messages claiming redemption, followed by subtle attempts to manipulate access to his new status. Dr. Whitney's in surgery, his assistant would reply, following his exact instructions. The phrase became such a standard response that the hospital staff used it as shorthand for permanent rejection. Lily's legal troubles mounted despite her youth. The prescription fraud investigation had reopened old cases, revealing patterns of theft and deception that predated her 18th birthday. Your daughter attempted to contact her biological father's other children, Agent Thomas added. Manning's legitimate family wants nothing to do with her. They're dealing with enough fallout from his criminal empire. She's not my daughter, Dante corrected calmly. The DNA was quite clear on that point. His own life had transformed into something stronger than before. Cedar Valley Medical Center's anesthesiology department set new standards under his leadership. The twins he and Reba adopted from the NICU, now healthy 3-year-olds, filled their home with genuine laughter that never mocked or deceived. Our foundation helped another 3 doctors recover from prescription fraud last quarter, Reba reported during their weekly review. The Medical Trust Recovery Foundation, born from their shared experience with betrayal, had become a lifeline for healthcare professionals targeted by criminals. The contrast between his past and present came into sharpest focus at the National Medical Ethics Conference. Dante stood at the podium, accepting a Lifetime Achievement Award for his work in hospital security protocols and fraud prevention. The greatest threat to medical ethics often wears a familiar face. He began his acceptance speech. Trust, like anesthesia, requires constant monitoring. The moment we take it for granted is when the patient is most at risk. Movement at the back of the ballroom caught his attention. Karen and Lily stood near the exit, their presence a shadow of their former confidence. They'd aged differently. Karen's designer polish replaced by desperate attempts to maintain appearances, Lily's youth hardened by retail shifts and community college struggles. They watched as his new family surrounded him on stage. Reba, brilliant and ethical, stood beside him while their twins presented him with flowers. The audience applauded a man who'd turned personal betrayal into systemic reform. Sometimes, he continued, the most crucial medical decision is knowing what to excise. Cancer untreated will always spread. Infection ignored will only deepen. His former wife and her daughter slipped out before he finished, unable to watch the life they tried to destroy flourish without them. Their own lives had become cautionary tales. Karen unemployable in their former social circles, Lily facing her own legal consequences for the prescription fraud. Later that evening, reviewing patient charts in his home office, Dante received one final update. Manning's prison correspondence had been released as part of the death investigation. Among the papers were letters to Lily, acknowledging his biological paternity while blaming her and Karen for his downfall. Typical Manning, Agent Thomas noted. Betraying everyone until the end. The twins' laughter drifted up from where Reba was reading them bedtime stories. Real family, built on respect rather than exploitation. Genuine love, replacing toxic manipulation. "We're adding your case study to the medical ethics curriculum," the hospital board chairman informed him the next morning. Future doctors need to understand how trust, once broken, can never be prescribed again. Dante agreed, his surgeon's precision now directed at preventing others from suffering similar betrayals. Every lecture, every protocol, every security measure became another suture healing the profession he loved. His phone buzzed with another blocked call, probably Karen or Lily trying a new number. He declined it with the same steady hand that had documented their betrayal years ago. Some surgeries were meant to save lives. Others, he'd learned, were meant to excise the cancer of betrayal before it could spread further. Both required the same precision, the same unwavering commitment to cutting out diseased tissue, and neither allowed for regret once the procedure was complete. Through his office window, he watched medical students studying in the hospital garden. Future doctors learning that healing sometimes required ruthless precision, that saving lives occasionally meant severing toxic connections, that trust, like a skilled surgeon's cut, could either heal or harm, and that some betrayals, once revealed, should never be stitched back together. It was the final lesson he'd learned from the family who tried to destroy him. Sometimes the best medicine was knowing exactly what and who to cut out of your life. Forever. Epilogue. 10 years later. The morning sun cast long shadows across the Harvard Medical School auditorium as Dr. Dante Whitney prepared for his annual ethics lecture. A decade had passed since the prescription drug ring's collapse, transforming his personal tragedy into one of medicine's most studied cases of institutional fraud. The Whitney Protocol has become standard practice in 70% of major hospitals, Dean Sarah Chin announced during his introduction. His work in preventing medical identity theft and prescription fraud has saved countless careers and lives. At 62, Dante carried the same surgical precision that had once excised betrayal from his life. Time had added distinguished gray to his temples, but his hands remained steady enough for the most delicate procedures. As chief of medicine at Cedar Valley Medical Center, his influence extended far beyond the operating room. Trust operates like anesthesia. He began his lecture, screens behind him displaying statistical data. Too little, and the patient feels every cut. Too much, and you might not notice the bleeding until it's too late. The Medical Trust Recovery Foundation, now in its 8th year under his and Reba's leadership, had expanded to offices in 12 states. Their work preventing medical fraud had earned international recognition, though the personal cost of that expertise still cast shadows. Karen Boone Whitney's latest appeal had been denied the previous month. Her 6 years in federal prison extended from the original 18 months after violations of parole and attempted fraud had done nothing to foster genuine remorse. Each failed appeal attempted to shift blame. Manning had manipulated her, the justice system was biased. Society had forced her into crime. Mrs. Boone's request for early release is denied. The parole board had stated. Her continued attempts to access restricted medical credentials and contact former associates demonstrate an unchanged pattern of behavior. The society life she'd once dominated became a bitter memory. Country clubs that had once competed for her membership now used her case in screening protocols. Former friends crossed streets to avoid association with her disgrace. The tennis club where she'd once plotted with Manning had been converted into a rehabilitation center, final irony for a woman who'd refused to rehabilitate. Jay Manning's death in prison 6 years ago had sparked fresh investigations. His cell contained evidence of continued attempts to manipulate the system. Smuggled phones, lists of medical credentials to steal, plans for new schemes. Even facing death, he tried to con his way to advantage. Manning's legitimate children filed restraining orders, Agent Linda Thomas reported during their annual case review. Apparently, Lily kept trying to claim inheritance rights. His family wants nothing to do with their half-sister's attempts to profit from their father's crimes. Lily Whitney Manning, she'd legally changed her name after the DNA revelation, remained trapped in the consequences of her choices. Community college had ended in academic probation. Retail jobs terminated after background checks revealed her fraud history. Each attempt to rebuild her life stumbled against the digital record of her crimes. I saw her working at a gas station off the highway, Dr. Chen mentioned after Dante's lecture. She tried claiming she was someone else, but the security footage from the prescription thefts is still used in training seminars. Everyone in medicine knows her face. The thousands she'd stolen funding designer shopping sprees had been repaid through garnished minimum wage paychecks. Social media influencer dreams died as followers discovered her role in the drug ring. Former private school friends blocked her increasingly desperate attempts at contact. But some lives improved through the crucible of betrayal. Dr. Reba Whitney's research into medical security protocols had earned her a nomination for the National Medical Ethics Board. Their adopted twins, now thriving 13-year-olds, showed early interest in medicine, this time built on genuine passion rather than criminal opportunity. "Mom, look!" Michael, the more outgoing twin, rushed into Dante's office waving a science fair certificate. "First place for our project on hospital security systems." His sister Madison's project on ethical drug tracking had earned equal recognition. Their understanding of medical ethics came not from exploitation, but from watching their parents transform personal pain into professional purpose. The Foundation's work continued expanding. Each week brought new cases: doctors targeted by identity thieves, hospitals discovering prescription fraud, medical professionals rebuilding after betrayal. Dante reviewed them with the same precision he'd once used to excise cancer from his own life. "Your case study saved my practice," a young surgeon told him after the Harvard lecture. "I recognized the warning signs from your protocols before the fraud scheme could take root." Curtis Mann, the reformed con artist who'd helped expose Manning's operation, now ran the Foundation's prevention division. His insights into criminal methodology helped protect other medical professionals from similar schemes. Another clinic protected, he reported, showing data from their latest intervention. "Amazing how the same patterns keep emerging. People never learn." But some had learned. Boyd Gillespie, the private investigator who'd first uncovered the betrayal, now taught at the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. The evidence-gathering techniques he developed during the Whitney case became standard procedure for medical fraud investigations. Tonia Alvarez's financial forensics team had expanded into a national consulting firm, their methodologies for tracking medical identity theft adopted by major hospitals. Dr. Esteban Abbott's genetic testing protocols helped other families avoid similar deceptions. The annual Medical Ethics Conference had become a testament to transformation. Dante and Reba's presentation, "Trust as Treatment, Protecting Medical Integrity," drew international attention. Their twins watched from the front row, understanding that family meant more than DNA. Yet shadows remained. Karen's latest prison photo showed age earned through bitterness rather than wisdom. Her attempts to manipulate the system continued, each failure adding years to her sentence. The designer clothes and tennis club confidence had been replaced by institutional reality. Lily's most recent letter arrived through the Foundation's public mailbox. "Dear Dr. Whitney, I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm facing new charges for attempted prescription fraud. The DA mentioned your Foundation's rehabilitation program. It joined the others in a file marked consequences, teaching future medical professionals that trust, once shattered, leaves permanent scars." The wedding photo on Dante's desk told its own story of redemption. He and Reba surrounded by genuine family, their twins beaming beside them. No hidden agendas, no secret betrayals. Just truth built from the ashes of deception. "Ready for surgery?" Reba asked, appearing in his office doorway. Another complex procedure, another chance to save lives rather than destroy them. "Always," he replied, following her toward the operating room. They passed the ethics training center where new doctors learned from his experience. Through the window, he glimpsed the case study title, "The Whitney Protocol, When Trust Requires Surgery." The lesson continued teaching itself. Some wounds required precise incision to heal. Some betrayals taught more through their excision than their endurance. Some trusts, once broken, served better as cautionary tales than continued pain. 10 years had proved his surgical judgment correct. The cancer of betrayal, once removed, had allowed healthy tissue to thrive. Those who had chosen deception paid their price in continued consequences. Those who chose integrity built something stronger from the ruins. His office whiteboard displayed the week's schedule: surgeries, lectures, Foundation meetings. Each entry a testament to survival, each achievement built on the ashes of betrayal. The final lines read, "Trust, like tissue, reveals its true nature under pressure. Some wounds must be reopened to properly heal." Some cuts are meant to save rather than harm. And at the bottom, in his precise surgical script, some prescriptions can never be refilled.
This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy the story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.